So we're coming near the top of the hour here, and I'm buying the British pound right in the middle of this dud zone here on this. If you go to the 30-minute chart, it's right where there's a double top, and there's another top here, so it's like a triple top. So they're building a triangle right now, and there's plenty of trades to take on the way to the building of the triangle. You don't have to necessarily buy here. But this thing last night, or this morning, when you retest this high and go 1 pip above, and then they come back, same thing happened here. This wick here is 1 pip above, so that's like 1 pip above spread by a cycle of, if you put a Gann grid on that, you would just go, okay, that's a cycle of this length. So that's your time cycle. If you don't care about pips, you just put this on the time cycle. So you're going to cue this node and this node to the swing highs, and then just pick a pip rate, But you're always going to get hits on these lines. It's whether you're getting in really big or really, really small. So I put a 20 pip grid here, and right now we're right at about 20 pips. If I made this diamond 20 pips, then you'd be climbing up like a channel that is like 10 pips per, well, this is a day here, so if you move it to here, to these two corners would be 20 pips a day. But if you wanted to trade in 10 pip stops, you'd move this to the middle of the square here. So you have to like drag in view. It's kind of tough. But you can't get it to the corner of this day. So it's kind of it's a little, what do they say, technique sensitive. So you do have to kind of, and then you could actually look to the right as you're moving this and just see if it's giving you that. But see how it cues to the market. Okay, pretty close. Or at least that's the risk you're willing to accept, is this diamond is 20 pips. So the channel, if we're still going down this channel, we have to come all the way back down to this. We may have to retest that price right there. So I'd put buy limits there, because it might come down there. Uh-oh, it's not going down. So I'm putting buy stops now because it's right in my entry zone right there, off of that pivot. So right in this congestion point, and it's just obvious. If you didn't have this Gann grid, it's just obvious we're in the middle of the market, right? I mean, this is the moment of truth. If you look at the 4-hour chart, I mean, obviously the middle of this big saucer thing, and it's been it's just been 300 pips up, 200 pips down in this currency. So I built this Gann grid on about 200 pips, 250 pips probably per week rate of change there. Essentially, it's what you're willing to wait for as far as entry. Now, if you wanted to buy the bottom of this channel, you think this is the up channel, you can place all your orders down here. Pretty deep. So I made this 50 pip grid order that if the market plunges 50 pips for some unknown reason, people get all out of control. They can't deal with what's going on, and they start to overbid it down like they did here, and there's a 50 pip stop that you might have got stopped out on had you bought at the 100 with a 50. So you really have to buy the whole trap, the whole wick trap zone. So you have to buy from, with swing trading retracement, I say you have to buy every doji on a limit. So if this thing came back to this top, which it did come back to this top at the 50, half of a penny, came right in here. So that was pretty silly. And there was a little hesitation here again. There was a hesitation where, so this is the big pivot. So, but can we come down there? Yeah, come down there again. Be wonderful, wouldn't that be amazing? You get another trade like this where even if you started buying here, now imagine you're trading very small, but you have super wide stops. So you start buying here, and you buy here, and you buy here, and you just spread all your orders out, and you just have enough money in the account. You have a stop here. So, this one you're up on, this one you're up on, this one you're up on, this one you're up on. So it's this one you're up on, right? So it really depends how much punishment you can spread out. Like if you could buy this with 100 pips, with a 200 pip stop, and you rode it all the way to here now. So we're coming back all the way back to this, and this another big fight battle zone coming up here. So this morning they're going to try to smack out all these bulls, it looks like. So I'm buying the pullbacks with stops here. Every time it plunges, I put in a buy stop, so I get picked up on the way up. I go to my other, so this 1 minute chart, so it's all buy stops here. Now they're going to take it below here. Now they're going down this channel. They went to this one, they went up, so you could have made 40 pips here on this breakout of this channel. It's pretty much a bottomless pit of trading. Even if you waited for the breakout of this and you had nothing but buy stops on the top of every top to get picked up in, so you just keep putting in your buy stops and you walk away. Next thing you know, lo and behold, you're long. And you're on a 1 minute chart. You can see the trap, so you can see the head. This is supposed to become resistance. So it does, but then everybody has their doubts about that. Now it's this is the new trap for the bulls, is to go after people that went long here saying, oh boy, we're going to the moon. Plus people that can see the big picture, they're like, oh, come on. Like tell your neighbors about this trade. So, and here we go. So we're going to zoom in up. Now I just have to let it lock into the stops because those are essentially market orders. Because as it was tanking, I was buying into it, and so I'm already in too heavy. All right, just try to make it like drive, half the speed limit, but place the orders so that you're guaranteed that you're up on the trade. You could actually scalp out right now, and take something off the table. So that should be built in to any of these scalp things where you only look to make 8 pips, but you're trading really big on that 8 pip order. So you just write that in. Maybe you trade a standard lot on a script, but it's just designed for a momentary, like you can see 5 pips coming, right? It's like you're just about to get hit in the face. At the last minute, you discover you're about to get hit in the face. So you get out of the way and whatever that, and you're just like, wow, that was worth $1 million, rubber band slaps. So, but the thing is, the market's going to go into these insane rallies and insane pullbacks, and the pullback to the kind of the deep order bank this morning was 100 pip pullback or 80 pips. So that's a trade. Or you were on the long side of that for the bounces. Even this thing here, this is 40 pips, right? How much money are you trying to make? The 1 minute chart, if you're some kind of meth head, you could trade the 1 minute chart and make $1 million because every time you see this top, you just place either a limit order here, or when it comes back, you just keep buying, like hitting that button like a idiot, right? And here's your shoulder head. It doesn't take, you only got about 2 minutes to imagine that this could be the shoulder, and you've got a trend line here that's telling you, breakout, pull back to this is a 7 minute rhythm, right? This is like you're playing lead guitar in the band. You got to know every lick. You can't be hesitant. You have to figure, oh yeah, this double top should become up. See, broke through, came back, reset. This everything's over. The idea that there's a trend here, my God. If you walked into a 1 minute chart with a daily bias, you'd just be mincemeat. I mean, wouldn't you just be, oh, that's shit, I heard it was supposed to be, wow, you're gone, So you're scalping on the 1 minute really heavy, but then you got these kind of peppered out trades, right, that are just on another broker, and they're sitting there to get in filled on if the market drops 300 pips for some reason, and you take advantage of the market from the wide aspect of what could ultimately happen would be a complete washout of all the so-called trend that's been forming, or even the so-called retest that you would think, oh, we couldn't retest 4 times down there. But so there's been a big washout on the pound. It's about 250 pips south of where we're at right now. But not to say it couldn't go down there. I think you got to be realistic, though. You might go down and take out the low of today. You might go down 100 pips right now, 120 pips. But I don't know if this time of day we're going to see. It's almost like we're queuing up for maybe another rally to actually clear all the way to where this last support was on the 4-hour at this big round number way back. But I don't want to look too far back, because I think that's a big problem there, is looking too far back. You can always set you up for a real trick you, thinking that, oh, that really matters back there, when it really doesn't. What matters is this thing on sale? If you think it's going up, and every pip it drops, you just got to be ready to buy it. So here's another buy limit fill here. I'm on the edge of the market here. I'm underneath. The bears are just thinking they trapped the bears in this 1 minute. So this channel needs to be broken here. At least this trend line. You have to have the patience for this trend line to get touched and tested, and then maybe it's going to go up. So now buying on stops here was the only choice, because I didn't want to have to worry about the so here we go. Below the takes out that channel, retests this top. So your buy limits are sitting on this top, because if this thing's really going up, it's got to come back to this half-hour doji. So anytime there's a zigzag that's tight, it's a doji, without question. They always look like this, and they are always those islands. You can look back in time, but you don't want to look too far back, because the maybe here, right? This is the top, became a bottom, and here's the doji that cues to that. So this is a 20 pips. Each of these is 20 pips, and I'll put this in the. There's a link to this grid. It's called the Grid Builder. Just go and type MT4 Grid Builder into Google. You'll see it come up. So that's 20 pips, and so yeah, I mean, my God, if you've traded a buy stop breakout here, you definitely made a couple pips, right? But you had to have your protection here logically if you're going to trade, I guess, old school logic. But if you had buy stop stacking up here because you knew it was going up, you would have been filled here and been already long. So you just have to look back for it. You don't have to back test it. You just do scenario entries, oh, if it's tanking, what kind of order do I put in if I think it's going up? And you don't have to. If it keeps plunging, then they won't fill you. That's the best part, especially if you put it kind of far away. But you don't want to get too far away, because you go too far away, then it's really starts to lose its you have to let it go through the phase. So here we're on the 15, which is a little bit spicier than the half hour, because you can scalp on this and then just get back in. There's so many entries and exits here. It's ridiculous. It's just a revolving door. Now you could say that this isn't a downtrend, and you could say it's an uptrend, but if realistic, is it an uptrend? Yeah, I guess, because it's made a higher high here in the middle. The chart's lower, but isn't it tradable in both directions? My God, it's insane. This sell-off here, this rally here, of course, it did stall out here in this 40 pip trap before it went smashing up. So I guess you could make the argument that that's you could have it either way here. I guess at this point in the chart, if you knew nothing of the future, people are saying at this point, if if they can only see this far, they're saying it's in a downtrend, right? But we all know that those don't last forever. And this is too fast a rate of change here to be real, just like this is, but on the 15. So when that stuff happens on the 15, like a big smash back to a double bottom, which is the top of the 20, just having a pending there with a 20 pip stop to make 40 is the trade. I mean, from a standpoint of, like if you wanted to sell this thing, you'd have your sells up in anywhere in this 20 pip trap. So you're giving yourself 20 pips of risk to make 40. I mean, if you just have built a 20-40 system, and then you would just go to currency pairs that matched you can't be on a currency where it moves 20 pips in 20 seconds if you got a 4-hour pending out there. So if you put a really deep buy limit out there, it can't be so close to the market and last so long that it won't make sense. If it fills, now in the news, it could fill in 15 minutes. So also you're exposing yourself to that whole, everything that could happen between and 8 hours out. So it's not like that thing appears in 8 hours. It's there till 8 hours. I mean, that would be an interesting system to run, and you'd need some robot to actually launch them ahead on a schedule, right? But you've either got to step up and hit the button on something you wrote, script here, and say, okay, I'm double clicking this, and that's going to go there for 2 hours. I'm going to buy from 25 pips to 65 pips with an 88 pip stop. And in 2 hours, if this market could crash down into that, I would take that trade. I would take that trade any day of the week, just because it may get stopped out. But look at this plunge here. Now this is way more. Of course, this took about 2 hours. So if you had that order there, 2 hours from now, if that order disappears, then so does your exposure. So you're really saying, how long do I want to expose myself to risk? So you get to pick the price, the time, and the so it is like they said you don't know the price of the time, but you get to pick it in this game because you kind of can see what the landscape is. And so you're saying, if this thing's moving at a certain rate of change, it's coming at you. If you're catching a falling knife, but your hands are disappearing every hour. So a new set of hands comes in. By then, the knife's slowed down enough where, you don't have this energy coming at you so hard that it's going to be detrimental to your health. At least you're going to be having to think about getting a grappler or something, or be like turning into a pirate with a hook. So, but if you're trading this thing for all the up and down pips that are available in this British pound, it literally has gone up and down 60 pips every 4 hours for like 2 days. It's just ridiculous. So I don't think it would matter so much whether you were a buyer or a seller. I think it would matter how long you're in the market, and how wide is your take profit to your stop, and then just pick the pair that you can get your brain around. Now, if you're only allowed to trade if you're only allowed to trade a certain size, like a mini, and it's too crazy, you'd have to go trade the euro dollar, and it's not as many pips, but this is a lot of pips because I guess it's so expensive. So it's set to the price of the instrument. Thing's $1.43. So it's 43 cents above the American still. So we're looking for, this is the top of the hour, just came and went. So we're still stuck here at fair value. I think we're stuck in the last known support level, and waiting for a rally to go after my sell limits that I put above the market. And that's about it. It's another boring day at the old grind mill. I'm going to put buy stop in now. Every time I see a hammer, well, I put a buy stop. A hanging man, a sell stop. So I just got a hammer on the 15. I'm actually going to over anticipate it and assume it's a hammer. And so here's where the tough part is. Now you have to wait another 15 minutes for the market to plunge again and prove it's not a hammer. And by then it should be filling my buy limits. So it's about loading up on a trade, but being aware that they've got to crush this thing before it goes up. And they've got to crush it to the north before it goes down. So a lot of these moves are just so outrageous. And I just don't think, I don't know how you trend trade it. I guess you trend trade it on that 1 minute trend. So if you're day trader, trend trader on a 1 minute chart, then definitely, wow, gee, we're in an uptrend, we just got top bottom, pull the trigger, go. Because, if you're trading super huge on a 1 minute chart, and you're already out of the trade right now. You're gone. So you just made whatever that bottom was. So you're looking at the 1 minute chart now, and you're asking yourself, wow, should I get out? So here we're scooching up against that channel again, or the last known downtrend line. So it's not that complicated. It's just you have to wait. That's the problem I'm having. Okay, so this would be the trap. Anything that happens now on, anybody that sold this breakout here is now underwater. So how long are they going to be able to hang before? And if they're right, then this means that this has to be the new resistance right now. This bottom matching to this bottom on the 1 minute. Now we got to go plunging. So how far can they plunge that? Has it run out of steam? Is this nothing but a trap for the 1 hour? I guess if you go to a 1 hour chart and zoom in, you can see what the... So I actually do have candles underneath this thing. So definitely they're having their way with it. So that was the breakout here from that. So we're still involved in that last breakout. But they trapped the breakout guys, the 1 hour breakout guys. They trapped them here already. So, but that's what this currency does a lot. Canadian dollar does that a lot too. It's not really, and this is why people complain about Forex, is because it's really about the edge of the market. Whereas this doesn't happen. These spikes up and down don't happen in the stock market necessarily unless it's the end of the world. Like if this was the Dow Jones, you'd just say, well, give up, right? Or whatever. And I guess this can be a little more spastic because, it's just really about range trading in the end, I guess. You could say there's a trend there, but wow, lately, last few hours have been kind of dicey here. So, but this is definitely a doji on the 4 hours forming, right? So here's my trend line to break, and I just watched a video where the guy said, don't draw your trend line through the closing price, draw it through the tops. So he's talking about like this. Well, yeah, you'd say it's an uptrend. If you went through the tops, and then you went through the tops here, he's like, okay, this is a valid trend line, but this isn't. I'm like, okay, but trend would mean price over time, like it's going somewhere. Okay, so the fair value entry, now buy stops underneath this low right here on the 1 hour. And you just have to sit this one out. Now, I am looking for it to fill this damn all the way to here and then hit my sells and then come ripping back. So that's my dream trade for today. I don't think it's going to make it there in time. If I'm lucky, it's going to bounce this round number. So there was a chance to get out on a scalp on anything above the big round here. It almost made it to it here. So you had a chance to bail there if you just was... actually, that's the 50. That's a half a penny. But now we're below the big. Now, if we come back to this big number, which is right on this pivot here, which it's kind of crazy how it's always the round number that's the pivot. So you have this, the body of the doji. He said don't draw any trend lines on dojis. Well, I don't think there's any other way to do it, especially support and resistance, because if the market hesitated there, then there's an issue. And if this bottom here does not become resistance, it's going to blow out this trend line at some point here, or it's going to go after this trend line. So we're in the middle of forming this triangle, and it's always a boring scene during the formation. Now, if you trade the formation as it's happening, I mean, it's range trader's dream, right? You buy down here, you sell here, you buy, you sell, you buy, you sell, and you're just like, I love this. Of course, here they trapped the last week. They trapped the bears here for 75 pip head. You really got to take the money and run on a lot of these if you're going to sit here and day trade this thing, because these are crazy moves, you know. So here we're stalled out, itching to break this trend line. This is the do or die moment, and so I'm in as big as I can be in right now, and these are all my take profits if we go up. And then on this other time frame, I'm trying to get stuff for later on today. So if it goes up here, I'm expecting the sellers are going to come in. But on the way there, I would sell, depending how quickly this thing can get to here, I would sell again at that line. So these lines here I would not pay attention to is the wicks. You just take the wicks out of the equation, because you'll never be able to see that wonderful top bottom action, which again here was the scalp this morning. Was this thing came back to this stupid price just above round. So your buy limits are in there for the retag. Now, if you got over eager, you would buy here at this top, because this top should become a bottom, but it didn't quite work out that way. Actually blew through it and became resistance. It became the new pivot, and then it went crushing down. But it crushes to this doji, which cues to the this internal bottom. And this is the 1 hour chart. So it's probably the best chart, because you can get your brain around waiting an hour to get paid, or 2 hours. You can see here this top bottom at the 50. Doesn't take much to, that's very low risk entry. There's in the last top, it pulls back in. See, now you have to maybe trade aggressive on that, but buy stops in there too. Okay, this is the moment of truth, I guess. The next 20 minutes, we're up against this 1 minute trend line, and the big picture looks like they want to take this thing to the moon, Alice. So breaking the trend line right now, and I don't know if there's any other way to trade this thing. You know, I mean, who doesn't want to make money on these scalps and make money on these giant? Like, this thing went down for 10 minutes, never took a breath. It's nuts. So if you have a sell key, stop, entry, a stop, buy, and in this situation, you could say, I don't know, maybe it is going down. So you could go buy stop, sell stop, buy stop, sell stop. But when they resolve this window here on this 1 minute chart, it's over, right? They're going to pop it up. Sellers are going to come in right there. Triple bottom, which was the whole place this got started, that whole party. Okay, so now I'm going to go flying back to that is the plan. Well, actually, the first conservative exit is going to be this double bottom, right? Right there, you pop to that. A lot of sellers are going to come in, so that's my exit. I'm scalping, really trying to make this a scalping account, which means it's just going to take 10, 40, 20 pips. That's what it's designed to make. And then if just getting in, because 1 minute chart, you have to press the button more often when it looks like the market's stalling out. In other words, if it's a 15-minute buy limit, and we just plunge down here and it's like, uh-oh, it gets all chattery, then you would punch the buy limit key and a couple of buy stops, because you're not. So you're breaking the trend line right now, looking for follow through into this bottom here. So the spread's under a pip right now, so it's not bad conditions. This thing comes up, you're out, boom, day's over, if that's your trade. Right now, I should be getting out on the next. See, but there, people are already selling. So look how this approach avoidance here, like my friendly neighborhood squirrel who keeps attempting to get across the street by getting 80% across and then retracing 80%. So he doesn't think it's worth it to complete the 20% and get to the other side of the street, you know. So that's a drama in the morning. Or occasionally around town here, we've got issues with these squirrels here. Okay, one more pop here. I don't have the patience for this trade. One more minute. It's all I got on my nerves here. So in 29 minutes, I've been babysitting this damn. But this is like swing trading. If you imagine what a swing trader would do on a daily chart, he would totally buy this complete, insane, unfair. Anything below this line is unfair value. This last yellow line, and they actually, on the 1 minute, they actually did it hits it bounces, the scalpers take their money, it comes down, retest below, then pauses here, makes a hammer, a 1 minute hammer. So anytime you see a wick, it's a hammer or a doji, and a gravestone or the hell. And then here, breaking the trend line. So I want to be out when we come up into these two yellow bars, and that'll be it. And then the rest of the thing would just roll. If you had a smaller account and you had just a few K on that thing riding for the retest, that you know is a high probability that the market's going to retest. And then there's less of a probability that it's going to go into a beautiful trend and always give you money. So on the 4 hour, it's been pretty schizoid. And here, this chop here, all these wicks that are happening right at the. So we actually had to retest the breakout here 3 times. So the third kind of revisited this zone. Okay, so it's 1 minute till the 15-minute traders, robots, or the people that trade a certain style kick in. And by then, you kind of want to be out because it could be a whiplash pullback. So if you're cashing out about right now, you'd be putting in really tight buy limits just below that last 15 minutes, because if you're going to trade this buy low, sell high theory, you need to have this rhythm where it's like, okay, you just dump, now you're going to reload, now you dump, reload, so you're always having to reload. It's because all these retests were worth so much money. I mean, every retest here on this 1 minute chart is just like, oh, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. But you got to be up for that, or at least buy, dump, or sell, dump, sell, dump. Now here, this whole smash down, had you got in on this zone up here, just on stupid stops, like you just hit a buy stop, a sell stop. Every time it goes up, you're hitting sell stops. Every time it tanks, you're hitting buy stops. Right now, you'd be hitting sell stops on that 1 minute. So you'd be coming underneath it thinking, oh, hey, this is probably going to last forever. Let me pick up something on the plunge. And that if it's not going to tank, no harm, no foul. The next 1 minute it goes up and hits that next yellow line, you're not in. But it's nuts. Like, so a 1 minute chart, it's totally tradable, but you can't have, you have to treat it as if it's like you have to be in and out every 2 or 5 or 8 minutes to really make it worth your while, because you can see the trade, right? It's obvious what's going on. And so this stuff would take, on a 4 hour chart, take forever to happen. But you can see that if you look at the 4 hour chart, it kind of looks like what's going on right here is you're trapped down here. You've been trapped down here a long time. And when it finally breaks out, it pulls back a little bit, but then they're like, uh-oh, we got to go here. So the sellers are going to come in right now at this bottom. So if you're running a sell stop, you still haven't got filled. But it should always be a scalp on the 1 minute chart, because it's based on how crazy wild these markets can take off, cut and run, go the other way. But all the 1 minute guys are like, yeah, well, we just broke out this trend line. So another thing is zoom out to give it a little bit more, seeing that, oh, they're going to come, sellers are going to come in there. So now it's the contest of, do you wait till your target's hit, or do you just say, wow, I'm already up like crazy on that account right now, so I'm just going to dump? That's the other question. But it depends what kind of account it is. Like, if it's really in big, then for sure you probably dump right now, right? Now there will be there could be a vicious pullback right off of that 1 minute chart. So probably dump here, or just got my finger on the trigger. This broker dumps super quick. Now I'm going to buy in limits as it pulls back. That's all you can do. So let me come back to this drama. It's about how tight do you want to run close to the market. So I just put this buy limit, it didn't get filled. So I could come behind it with buy limits. I don't have to be long. I think it's going up. So I just put like half-hour pullbacks. Just because we broke this trend line doesn't mean it's going to the moon right now. So on the 1 minute chart, you have to be realistic. If you are on this time frame, that you can see there's going to be another place to get back in. Typically would be the retest of this, but that may not come back there. But if you really feel like you missed out, just put a buy limit in. Because even now it's a little ridiculous. It's going to probably pop above this. So if you really had to get in this thing, I would just buy from here all the way back to the starting gate and just chase it with that. Maybe even put sell limits above here. But I do think it is going to be an insane blast. So I already have my sell limits way out in Disneyland. So now I got to think about how far to put that stuff. And I'm going to put some 75 pips away. Sells. I think it could go up 75 pips now. They're looking for some wackadoodle behavior. Now, we just took out the... We're about to go after this 4 hour, or this 1 hour trend line. Nice thing about 1 hour charts is this is just complete lughead trading. This is the redneck trading as good as it gets. So dumb. And this rejection of this bottom on the 1 hour, if we close up here, then you have to figure that no, the sellers did not come in there. You're not in a downtrend, at least not for the next hour, right? It just totally blew through it. The sellers just totally come in here, though, especially back to the round number game again. So here comes the sellers. But I actually want to load up if it does pull back on this 1 minute. So I'll give it 10 minutes. If it doesn't fill on that, then I start putting in buy stops on the pullback. So as it starts to form this cup, as it's making the cup, as it's just coming in and forming that void, I'm getting in. So I'm getting in on stops when it pulls back. So I'm not getting filled on my buy limits, so I put in one buy stop here. So this was the big resistance point, and the logical place for exit for take profits was underneath here. So it's pulling back. I'm going to put in buy limits. And I'm going to put a buy stop in. 15-minute buy stop. So I'm running basically the 1 minute chart with 15-minute scripts because these orders will make sense on this time frame. Now I can put in the I think these might be, yeah, these are 15-minute, and then this is a half-hour buy stop, and then this is a half-hour buy limit. But I'm just going to go hog wild here on this pullback. So I'm trying to load up. Since I dumped out of everything I was in, I have to reload now on the 1 minute chart. So in the rearview mirror, I've got the 4 hour, or I got the 1 hour on the left side here. So this was a big fair value battle zone here, and all this zigzag stuff, all this craziness established that to be a real bidding war. And what it is the market. One thing you can guarantee is it'll form an island. So down here, like, notice there's a big smash. Hurry up and get there. But then when you get there, there's a controversy. When you get there, there's a controversy. So when you get there, if this controversy ends up being like, uh-oh, we have to go back and redebate this area, then it may have to come back there. Otherwise, it hesitates here, and then it goes after this big, starts taking out zones, right? And it'll go after the 1 hours, the 4 hours, the daily, the weekly, and once it comes flying back, whenever that happens, certainly on the 1 minute chart, it's not like you got to wait to get paid if you're running a theory of market behavior. Certainly test on the 1 minute chart with real money. That way, oh, if you want to step back from the market, you know what that looks like on a 15-minute chart. That same pattern, but same behavior. So, or go to the 5 minute chart, right? And I think that's the way to go. But I'm just saying, you got to be realistic, I think, in these targets. So here, I could see it cutting through one more time, right? One more rally, or it's going to plunge. So this is going to be a kind of one of these. Okay, we finally make it to the edge of the other triangle on the 1 hour, and it's like, oh, I finally got there. That might be the whole trade today, but look at this stuff. Are you kidding me? So even this didn't get filled if you had your buy limit at this wick, playing top-bottom theory. I'll no fill all, because really it was about this congestion zone being the price everybody was thinking about. Or at least for the sellers, their targets were down there. So anybody that was, not to mention you can draw this trend line. So the guy that was drawing trend lines on wicks can't see this trend line here. Right here is the trend line. So you're breaking it here before you ever break it. Like, this is a fake breakout, right? It don't ever get closed above that. So when the market closes down, you want to buy. When it closes up, you want to sell. So it's going up right now in the 1 minute, though. But you bought this trap. The last bear trap you bought was this one down here. So you have to ride it to at least the middle, or at least up into this thing. At least on the 1 minute chart, you can see what's going on. And you can see on the 15, like if you're looking at the 15, you know it takes 15 of these bars to make a 15-minute chart. It takes 60. But look at these wonderful coils now. All the, sure, everybody can see a top become a bottom, but it happens so quickly here that unless you jump in at the market or you had a buy limit little tight, like I'll buy 3 pips deep kind of order or 10 pips deep, you're not in that thing. And it happened over and over again. Not to mention, this went on for an hour. You could be, I mean, for like 1 hour of just like, whoa, wow, gee, damn. But I mean, presupposing you're willing to take 10 pips profit and 20 pips, you're not looking for a 300 pip move, right? You're not swing trading it, but you are kind of swing trading this on the 1 minute chart. So there's no difference. And certainly would yield more pips if this was the monthly chart and you just bought down here and you're up here and you're just like, I think I'm going to get out of something. And that's a lot of pips. Of course, that's a huge amount. You got so much money. You have to have, here's the bottom of the hour. So here's the spaz moves right now. Here's the giant spaz move here. We're right in the middle of this resistance. And here comes the sellers. So I'm going to put in my buy limits again. More buy stops. And now I'm hoping for the big crush. This is the come back to the starting gate entry. Come flying down into this. So you can see it on the 1 minute chart. And as the bottom of the hour comes, you'll see these setups a lot better. Where this was the breakout, this is the pullback, and this is the island down beneath where you would put most of your buy limit orders. So if you wanted to get in on a retest, actually beyond that, because you're expecting them to go beyond. This is a half-hour order, and that's a 15. So just stack these up and walk away. There's nothing you're going to do. If they are going to retest this, which you could have sold up here and you'd be up on this trade right now, but then you got to ask yourself, yikes, where it's so late in the game here for the so go to the 5 minute chart. So you see this is really not a trend. It's just nonsense, right? It's forming this triangle. So you have to kind of like if you sat out this whole thing and you held through this whole sideways thing, eventually it resolved itself. And you made money if you were short. I guess you made money if you kept buying a retest down here. So here it looks like the big crush on the 1 minute. So let's come all the way back to starting gate, but not so fast. 1 minute chart, you can see it. You can see this 3 minute raid back into fair value. Now it's about buy stops, more buy limits. Just trying to get as much margin as you can loaded up for an, you're anticipating the break of this 1 hour trend line. But in the meantime, you can scalp it. You can do something. If you have your stops at the bottom of this zone here, then you know that there's like, imagine that's, you put your stop in here and you bought at the market a little bit. That's quite a ways it's got to plunge here in the next half hour, so you can always bail. If you get scared, you can always bail right now. And that way you can come back and maybe sell it, right? If it's screaming up. So you could have scalped this thing. You could have sold here. And the guy that sold here, and the reason why you see this reaction is the guy that sold here, now he's even. And he realizes he was wrong because it went through that, right? He's like, oh boy, this thing's more on the retrace than I thought. So he bails here, which causes more buying, which gives you the chance for this to be support. And it was also kicking out anybody that had a stop in here. That created a order imbalance, and that's fueling this move. But the next thing you can do on the 1 minute chart is you can draw a channel for the first time. Down here you could have started it. So you have this channel, you're riding the 1 minute channel, just like you rode this 1 minute channel. Of course, this is going on and on all day long on the 1 minute chart. So it's a whole long, it's a long story on the 1 minute chart. But you're trapped in this 1 minute channel. So you're really bracketing. This is almost like using the wicks, because all wicks, right? Except for I took out the 1 minute wicks. But notice how the closing price is pressed right up against the wicks. So how many hammers are there? There's just 2 hammers. Well, there's 3 here. So this pullback hammer would have been your entry. And that's a nice thing about the 1 minute chart. Very few wicks. And of course, tick chart, no wicks. You put a 6-second wick behind it, I guess, right? You put a 10-second wick on there, so you have a 10-second chart. With a 1 period moving average on top, then you can really see the order flow. So I'm anticipating this trend line is the next one to break. Coming off of, if you can drop it to the next starting point here, instead of starting at the top, so you can get the contour of the way this is going to turn. It's going to come in like this. This is the next known double top. So it's going to turn. That would be your, people are bailing there. They're also, I guess I'm talking what I'm thinking. I don't know what people are thinking, but I'm anticipating a break of any trend line. So if I was a seller here today on the, you're sitting here, you have to kind of sit here. So either you're running sell stops underneath here thinking this can't go on forever, or you keep punching. Every 4 minutes there's a trade, so now you buy at the market right now. So you buy at the market right now because you're back here, or you got a buy stop above, or you place a buy stop right now. So I think I'm going to let my orders, all the orders I got in, let them play out, because I got a huge buy limit bank down here looking for this one final washout. So I want to get in on the 1 minute wick. So as time goes on here and there's no wicks showing up, you can see the wicks better like this. So this is the only fun really in trading, is to try to scalp. Because if you're swing trading it, that's boring, right? You can sit there and place an order that it's like, oh, yeah, it's going to go down there, it's going to go back up. But to sit there and actually, like, you can just actually make money every hour on something, or every half hour, there's a event. So if you plan for that event, then you've got the whole trade plan for that kind of scenario. And then you have to I guess I guess you could overtrade very tiny amounts, which is what I'm doing. I'm over trading tiny orders, and so because I'm trading more scenarios with a smaller amount of money per account. So I've trying to keep the scenarios down to a minimum. So I know that this is going to be a retrace strategy where the market, they may stop me out of my market orders that have tight stops, or they take me out of my buy stops that are non-directional 20 pip doji bracketed things. So if the market goes sideways and it stalls out, there's an order I need to place. So, and if it's plunging, there's a different style. But I have to wait for it to plunge into these limits. Okay, now I put a buy stop in. Every plunge now on the 1 minute, I put a buy stop in. As we come in back into this zone here, so I'm actually adding and pullbacks in the 1 minute, I suppose you could say. So I just go to the next account, and this one has a different size and a different... so this account's not in yet. But I got a huge bank of pendings here to get in. And any pullback, and this is the 15-minute zoomed out. It's easy to draw the trend lines here. You see real easy here. Of course, on the 15-minute, it actually closed above, so you don't see that on the 1 hour. It's filtered out. So that's the nice thing about, I guess, multiple time frames. You filter out the swings that really are. So this triangle, I guess we have a triangle if it closes up here, because we can draw our first lower thing. I guess you could have drawn one here. So this would be that the rule here would be that this should serve as resistance. If it doesn't, then you're in a heap of trouble. Then it's really going up. But here I've got the candle. So you see the hammer, the buy stop, but this is high risk entry. But all right, what are you going to do? You can't avoid risk in this game. So you just have to figure if you can make 20 pips in an hour, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, right? Up and down. So every hour you have a script that lasts till it's 40 pips deep. And it's just designed to capture this trap zone up here. Wow, that's an amazing trade. You're already up on the trade here when it retests the top of that. So the wick is the scalp, at least. Here, sell limits are getting filled. Bulls are getting long. And they just take punishment all the way to their stops. They went long here on this doji. And they got trapped. And that's your stop out. That's why you cannot just blindly, well, I guess you could blindly, but this is a lot of pips. If you waited for a small doji and did the same strategy, you make money. Even if you got stopped out of that, if you're still holding ones that never got stopped on this side of the bracket, you're cashing out. Just on sheer stupidity of the market going into a 10 pip range. So I could put a 10 pip grid on here. I could change this to a 10 pip grid on the 1 hour, and you'd see you can actually get it in, so you don't have to risk more than 10 pips. Of course, I don't know what the spread's at. Maybe the spread's five pips on news during the spike. I have no idea. But here's the other thing was my my Gann channels. I'm looking for this to come up here one day. And since it's only Tuesday, it is only Tuesday, so I'm just gonna to try to give it some time here to realize it's really going up. Here's the zoom out view. I'm looking to at least make it to that trend line. That's my first target. Then we could still pull back again. And this triangle could be going on for, come back to touch here again, another 10 pips down. And then ultimately the trend line that it's holding, I guess you could say we're inside of that is right about here. We never really got into that zone. And then the trend line on the top side, the projections that people would make price over time would look like that. So you do get a real pattern. Forget what that guy said about not drawing him on the close. Forget it. you have to draw them at close because that's the trend. Or that's the snapshot. Like film, this is all the indicators are built on close. RSI is on close. I still don't understand the guy that's running the candles with RSI. You need to have a closing line chart. How can you see divergence? I mean, you got to know there's all sorts of divergences on each one of those things. It just jumps out at you like a speedometer on your car. Like when you look down, your car might ride really smooth, but when you look down and you see you're doing 100, if you just bought a new car, you're like, oh my God, my rust bucket, this thing is so smooth that, you have to readjust. I have to readjust all my parameters, I'm adjusting to the British pound, the way it behaves. Very insane. But you got to love it. For 20 pips, you make 20 pips with a 10 pip stop on a 1 minute chart. And just do that trade. And you're good. Right? So here's the 1 minute chart. Again, we're going to try to go after these we're going to go ramming into these bears stops. So that was the trap there. That was the pivot that was supposed to... But see, we're holding that channel, so I'm almost ready to get out again. So anytime it's going up, I'm thinking the worst. Anytime it's going down, buy stops, I'm thinking limits. Goes up here, I don't know if I'd let all my take profits cash out, and then maybe by the top of the hour, it'll just be like boom. Maybe by 12:30, so we have 45 minutes for a possible smack, take out the high of the day, high of the week. But as time goes on, it becomes less and less likely, and that's why you get these hesitations, and then it comes ripping back. So it's always dicey. Should I stay or should I go? I think that's the song, right? Should I stay or should I go? That's what the market's all about. And waiting for the damn... So here I'm ready to get out. So I'm going to get out here in about 1 minute. I'll give it 1 minute. So the 15-minute traders would try to pop it through this wick. And there's my target. But this is too squirrely. I have no patience for these people. Honestly, I've been in this trade for like 10 minutes now. It's killing me. We're making higher highs, though. Look at this 1 minute chart. Just made a higher high. Woohoo! Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Now we just got to pop its top here. Go after these stops, but not go past this. Actually, if it rooms past that, hopefully I got all the orders in for the cascading effect of just cashing out as it retests, going flat into profits on a... this is kind of like the middle of the day. People are making decisions. Hey, is this thing... What's happening? The longer it sits still, the worse it is for either side, which causes the market to go nuts. And especially the people that are like, no, it's going down. We're in a downtrend. Look at the weekly. They keep bidding it up. They keep taking out these guys. They keep trying to sell it. Or they're going to get their stops right now. And then maybe that comes down and they're like, see, I knew I was right. So it's a real sick game. If you're thinking conventional wisdom that you've done all your research fundamentally, this shouldn't be happening. Why is the market moving this way? Well, I mean, it was up and down 100 pips this week. Up and down 80 pips so far this week. Actually, out of the gate, we were up 200 pips, pulled back 100. We're up 200, we pulled back 100, 50%. So, yeah, it's dumb. Definitely designed for dumb people. This is why you see, people overthink it. Okay, I'm ready to get out. They've trapped the bulls. I'll wait. I'll give it one more. I'll give it to the top of the hour. No. It's making higher highs. But see the top bottom on the 1 minute there already? This pullback was the top bottom in the 1 minute. So this pullback to here, that was it. Came back to there. Some guy sat on his computer and said, "I'll buy that for a couple more pips." Okay, I'm getting out. Now that here comes the rape. So that was a date. Now here comes the rape. So I'll buy in limits as they retest that whole zone there, and maybe it never comes back, but it doesn't matter because I'm long on another account. So this is my scalping account because it's fast. This broker's fills are just mind-blowing quick. So I'll trail behind it, and every time it moves up X pips, I come underneath with kind of the conservative entry is to buy on the retest. So I did when it pulled back below here, I was putting in buy stops, and then I had some buy limits, and then we plunge, and then I'm cashing out as it comes up, and that's a 15-minute trade. I mean, that's a 5-minute, 10-minute trade, right? 2 5-minute bars up, boom, you're out. So on the 5-minute chart, here's the trap. The shoulder comes the head. They reject that selling idea on the 5-minute close. Then they come smashing back. So, the conservative entry is buy stops on every 5-minute fractal. Sell stops on every baby little thing. Okay, here comes the pullback. So it's about putting in this order, waiting. If I don't get filled on the one I just put in, then I wait. If it doesn't look like it's going to happen, and it comes back to here and I'm not in yet, I would put a buy stop in, a small one, because inevitably they will crush this all the way back. So I just keep following with this. So I'm just getting filled now, and then this is just the most viciously moving market. Okay, so people are trying to get on this 5-minute train now. So look at how this 5-minute chart, 1 period moving average, is just so easy to trade, right? How hard is it to get your brain around this top became a bottom, kind of? In other words, it pulled back. Actually, it did create a hammer here. There's a 5-minute hammer. So if you did have your buy limit here, you would have got filled in 15 minutes. Think about that. This top exists. It pulls back, inverted hammer, goes rocketing up. You think you missed out? No, just put a buy limit here. Ride that whole thing. When this thing's crushing down, buy stops on the 5-minute. Yeah, it got filled. You got trapped a little bit there. Flags out. Another crush. If you have sell stops stacking up at the same time your buy stops are stacking up, right here you're neutral. Now you start winning on the sell side. But now it's about buy limits here, and buy limits here. Just in case this is a breakout, which it is, and this comes back to here, you want to get filled in here for a ride to at least here. And maybe it never makes it past the high of the day today. So maybe it's all for naught, as they say. But you don't know. So that's the romantic part of trading, is you just don't know. That's why you got to get the candlesticks out. But no, the 5-minute chart, if you're not a crackhead, is if you're a day trader, it's obvious, right? Your first trend line you can draw on this chart is way back in here. Pretty steep, but not bad, right? It held that. Next trend line, a little bit more conservative rate changes here, or I guess here would be your first trend line. But see how the rollover is. So I learned this from an RSI guy. Draw on a close, right? Draw and close. If you look at closing price, where does the top become a bottom? If this is supposed to be your bottom leg, you find resistance there, and ultimately find resistance up there. Right, that you kind of have to do it on paper because it's hard to get. This thing seems to want to snap to a certain. But this is the Andrews pitchfork. This is the middle tine. Then it just turns on a dime there. It comes smashing back. Okay, now I got to buy at the market. So that was the entry. So yeah, look at that. Look at that last pullback to this top on the bottom of the 5. So another cliche day trading where we trap the bulls on a breakout. We pull it back 5 minutes. Then guess what? Uh-oh. Really going up? No. So I'm putting buy stops in. I should buy at the market because it's too far away now. This buy stop here lasts about an hour, I think. That's a high risk order there. And that's good enough, right? I don't want to wait to get in on this top. I mean, anybody that's gotten in on the 15. So these are like trains that come into a station. Do you want to ride the 15-minute train or do you want to wait for the 5-minute train? And the trip's very short on some of these trains. But so here's the 15-minute wedge. And this isn't too hard to see. Forget the wicks. And here's the current support. So maybe we pop here. So we can go after the high of the day, real quick and dirty. Top of the hour is coming, and then at 12:30 something happens. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of activity at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Don't ask, don't tell. I do not know why. Maybe people are getting drunk. It's lunch hour, right? They let go of their positions. They walked away from the trading pit. Next thing you know. So here we're retesting this guy here, kind of trying to break it on the 15. And it's quite a long road to clear the treetops here, which would be all these wicks. And so many attempts, but many failures. In fact, every attempt, if you notice, is in about a 10 pip window. So isn't that kind of strange? This attempt here and this attempt here. Look at the depth of this. Look at after those attempts. Look at the failure pips. It's like a well. It's like a La Brea tar pit. I mean, this thing just after it can't get the party started. Even these guys. This trap here, this one here. All these ungodly amount of punishment after that. Same thing could be said for anything trapped below this water table. Wow. But at some point we're going to go up and people will say, oh, I knew it was an uptrend all along. Yeah, but really? This is a little brutal on your equity. Like if you bought here and you moved your stop to break even, oof, you're pissed. Or you just gave up. You're like, oh, I thought I had a trend system. Moving stops to break even is just so ridiculous. I can't even believe people talk like that. Same guy that says do not draw your trend lines on closing price. Don't draw them through the bodies of the candles. I don't think there's no other way to do it. The body of the candle is telling you the story for that session, whether it's a flag or if it's a big candle in one direction. Obviously, that's called a trend. That's like a momentary trend. That is a blast trend on a 5 or a 1 minute chart. Yeah, that's a trend. Wow. It's going up, right? It's an uptrend. But to say you're going to jump on a train that only comes to the station once a week, I mean, let's just say that by the time the train came back into the station here, all the passengers had turned into zombies or something. In other words, the story that you would think about this station when you were at this station, by the time you get there, the story has changed. And especially if it gets there very quickly. It means something completely different if the train's going 100 miles an hour as opposed to going, creeper gear. And stopping along the way. Not to mention all the stops. Boy, never getting there. So are we there yet? So the same question you would ask if you were in this downtrend. Every time it came back on you, this is a much more steeper downtrend though. But even this story's got to come to an end at some point. Okay, so I'm still waiting for this damn scalp part to play out. Okay, I'm anticipating a blow-off, an attempt to rip north here. So we pulled back to this. I had to wait 5 minutes. We just made a higher high on the 5-minute chart, and it's pulled back to here. I'm ready to get out already. It's running out of gas. I only have the worst scenarios in my head. That's it. We're going to plunge now. Oh well. I thought it was going to keep going up. The 4 hour looks good still. Here's 1 hour. It looks still. It's a bullish candle. We got a bullish candle. Oh, here comes the sellers now. One last punch in your face if you're trying to buy this. No, see? Can't buy too heavy here, the edge. So sellers are coming in. I'm still bullish, so I'm going to put my buy limits in again. Put in my buy stops again. Okay, so it never got out of this triangle, right? It's trying to get party started. It's coming up on resistance. Right back to this too, this pivot. So you got to like pause here, congest a little, blow through the top. Okay, buy limits only, because I already overpaid. So anytime I'm underwater, in the slightest bit, I don't add to that. I only add to it if it keeps tanking now. So I want to be really wrong. I want to be so wrong. But that's the way to play it, I think, is figure out how big you want to be in. And if you have a feeling about the direction for the next 3 minutes or 3 days, you just have to hang in there. Just have to hang with it. If you got a 50 pip stop, and they keep coming to your stop, I guess if you can handle that, it's always kind of disturbing. Especially when you were up out of the gate on the trade. So if you're up, if it looks like, wow, that was a great scalp, but I don't know if that's a really good swing trade, because that's huge position. And if you do the percentage in your account thing, it's not going to make a difference if you get stopped out of that and you still think it's a good trade and you don't have enough. Now you got to get in smaller because you just lost. So if you keep a lot of dry powder and you always got your limits pending, at least you can feel like you're trading because you have exposure. Trading is just about exposure. So if you buy at the market with a wide stop, small position because you're going to build into this thing, that's different than if you plunge in with a big position for the scalp, or even plunge in and just say, I know it's going up, geez. I'm risking 2% on one trigger pull. I don't think that's a good idea. So here's the top of the hour. I think a lot of these people trade at the top of the hour, plus the robots, plus the news. So there's huge smash and grabs right here. So you can get huge swings right at the top of the hour. But if you can see on the 1 minute chart here what's going on, it looks a little more understandable. Retest, all it's doing is retesting this breakout point. So it actually went lower. So notice the stop hunt here for the scalper guys. So if you didn't add on this pullback and you still think it's going up, it's a problem. So if you change this 1 minute chart, it's 60x view. Left panel is the 1 hour view. This is the 1 minute view. So you'd have to say, I'm buying this top bottom. I'm buying this doji retest. I'm also buying the where it went like a half a pip below, and then it went like another half a pip below, or a pip. Yeah, let's like a half a pip below on the bid. So the spread is wide right now, and top of the hour is 1 minute away. 1 minute chart. Probably retest this top and go maybe above and beyond the call of duty and come up into this line, for God's sakes, finally, right? So as you're trading this, you can see all the entries where you need to pull the trigger on the 1 minute chart. So you can be like, okay, that's the shoulder, head shoulder, boom, you're in. Plus you got buy stops trailing this whole time because you're like, oh, this is just nothing but a pullback. So every minute you're dropping, say, a script at last. You can't do 5 minutes. I haven't been able to do 5 minutes. No broker lets me put a 5 minute, but you put a buy limit that's 15 because you can't. You already see, maybe you hammer the key here, right? So every 15 minutes, here's about maybe 5 minutes pullback. And it's not the best trade in the world, but definitely you're getting in at the best price. And if your limits are getting filled on this situation, so you're double filling buy stops, buy limits, but you gotta have scalps built in, and then maybe you did buy at the market during the plunge. The only thing is that when you buy at the market during the plunge, I noticed that, see you buy here at the market with the plunge, and I guess that it almost had to be a scalp trade because you're just staring at it going, okay, it just went down, boom, that's crazy, I'll buy, boom, buy. So maybe you do get in with some markets, but here I couldn't do it, market. I'd rather have them plunge down right now into this order bank that I know is like, wow, this will be like the complete, now we're retesting again down here. So people that bought that, the spread's not even worth getting out. Notice 1 minute chart. How you make money? Okay, the spread just went to 1.5, right? So it looks like a trade, but it's really just nothing but this smaller debate about price before there's a final decision. It goes into this kind of broad trading range, considering it's about as broad as this trading range, this argument down here. And they trap the bulls on the people that trade just right at the edges there, or they're just people are selling right at resistance. But the nice thing about 1 minute chart is decisions. This is like a jury that's very hyped up on stimulants, and they come to a decision very quick, right? Very little evidence. You're like, oh, yeah, guilty. And I think he's innocent, so it's very bipolar process here. We're still holding the 1 minute channel though. Look at that. It's crazy. Barely. I guess you could say, it broke out, it's falling apart. All right, so we're gonna assume that it's still kind of going up. We'll move down to here. We'll do it like that guy that does it on the wicks. So we'll put a wick trend line in. Since you're on the 1 minute chart, I guess you can get away with it. This is like having a tick chart. So anytime you draw on the wicks, you're really drawing on a tick chart, essentially. Because you're taking into consideration every price that's happened. So I guess on the 1 minute chart, but that's, it takes the rhythm out. But so if you do both, it would look like this. So you have an envelope. This is like a wick envelope. So it's like your entry envelope on a up channel, and then the same thing, you would chop off the wicks and give yourself an entry envelope. Well, got to get up in this thing here, because this is where all the sellers are thinking they want to sell this double bottom. They think that's resistance, and this top that became a bottom here. So as you climb up this channel, that's your climax point, and hopefully it just goes nutsoid right now. For some, like I said, 12:30. I don't know what it is. This next 25 minutes, we could just go berserk to the upside. And I don't know what it is, other than the fact that, it's spending too much time on the next time frame down. The 1 hour stalled out here. And the people that have gone short and the people that have gone long are like, uh-oh. So as soon as they make a decision and bail either way, that'll also give you some reaction. These actually look like penny stocks, because the reason why people wouldn't trade penny stocks, they think it's rigged, is because there's a lot of wicks, because it's over-the-counter trading like this. So this is where it gets crazy. Right now, it could go either way, and people want to get out right here. Like anybody that's up on their trade or they're down on their trade, they're going to have to make a decision. Do they want to hold or do they want to just bail? So when they unwind, 5 minute traders are going to come in here in about 10 seconds. So they're going to make a decision too. They're like, oh, is that really, are we just not ever coming back to the downside? And then they got, they're going to hold, and the shorts are going to bail, and they'll fuel the buying power. So it's not like some kind of, in other words, the rig is, it's rigging just like you see on a ship. Like, you see the mast and the sails. So that's what you do here. When people draw these Gartleys, what they're really drawing is like a sail. Like they're saying, oh, I think the wind, the trends, I think I'm going to capture that wave with this big sail, and I'm going to, oh, this is, the apex of that triangle is the entry. Well, it might be, But so is just a good old fashioned, it's dead in the water. As soon as a wind comes, it's going to move in magnitude from the last stalled out zone. It's going to move so big that people are going to have to make a decision. And so, bottom of the hour, if there's a market on close orders coming in and everything's going to close out, then there'll be a big. It's either going to stall and die there, or has to have a fit. Either way. And so when some people are saying, "Oh, I think it's probably going up," and then the aha moment hits the whole market at the same time. And then there's the robots that are programmed on the clock to literally buy and sell based on the last known pattern. I'm sure somebody's already programmed a top-bottom computer, for God's sakes. So you're just watching the market behave the way it's supposed to. Well, they normally behave without a robot, because robots are built by people, and algorithmic trading there's nothing nothing bad about it. Or high-frequency trading, when they say high-frequency trading, all you're talking about is people executing quicker. It's never changed the way the market behaved, ever. There's not a chart in the world you can't look at and say, look at this got quiet here, and then, oh my God. The magnitude, in other words, in between earthquakes, there's a long time of nothing, and then there's an earthquake. So if you think the market's Fibonacci and its logarithmic spirals and all that, then it also is going to have all the other natural behaviors of natural stuff, that it's stable and then something goes terribly wrong. So I got to have some more coffee, though, to think about this. But you're building a channel in the 1 minute chart. They come and go very quickly. So I'm just going to hold this channel and come back right on the edge of this fragile little channel here. And we're banging up against this triple top on the 1 minute. So waiting for the completion of that. They can kick that through the gate, and I can take something off the table, and I think I'll get filled on one of my buy stops that's sitting way up there. So I never like to get in on buy stops because I always feel like, well, it's the worst price. So if you got in at the market here, or you got on limits at this that last sell-off into the retest here. Now here's another possible retest. So here's the do or die. Is it going to hold right up in here and teeter, and you wait 1 more minute? So you really, it's minute by minute trading, but I wouldn't put a moving average on it. I would think I'll just put the hard lines up here. In fact, I think the channel thing, this is why people are attracted to this Gartley stuff, is because it's a hard line. It's not floating. The problem with cloud trading is even that stuff, scatterbrain, floating. And the rule set is like going to a Star Wars movie. If you don't know what's going on, in the story, it's just a big pile of garbage that looks like a 1 minute chart. So if you don't know the backstory with all these systems and 618, blah, 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 I think it's just about pips in the end. Like you're looking at the thing going, what would I buy here? Would I sell here? I mean, is this a good price? And then just accept the risk of all the pips, all the, so I'm already long, so if it goes down lower, I'll get filled on these buy limits down here. Okay, so we're waiting to get filled on, let's put a buy stop. So you could have bought the market, you could have bought that wick. See how that is? Now, if you were sitting in front of your monitor right now, you could have bought that triple bottom wick, or you could have placed a buy limit there. I don't know if they would have filled you. You're basically putting a buy limit like 2 pips deep, but you're already up on the trade. It's almost the way it has to be. And so you could sit here for 3 hours and make probably 40 pips up and down, taking 10, 15, 13, 8 pips at a time, kind of easy setups. At least you can see what you would do on the daily had you have the patience of some of these swing traders. But you really have to sit there in a trade for like 5 days, and it's a lot of pips. I mean, no doubt, if you're long from Friday and the pound right now, you're just totally a happy camper. So here's Friday's raid, and you're still long. Maybe added here on this pullback, and this pullback coincides with this top. So that's the body-to-body entry, body-to-body pivot hotspot. See, they already come with the sellers. So it's really dicey here. We're waiting for the bottom of the hour again. So come back to this drama. So the bottom of the hour has come and gone on the 5-minute chart, and see how it retested this pivot. And then the scalpers jumped on that, and they're probably cashing out of their longs right now. And the sellers will be coming in at this top. But it's a little scary to sell at this top because, well, you know, if it breaks through that and doesn't look back, then it is going to go after the high of the week, right? For this thing to hit its target, you may have to sit in this trade for the next 8 hours or 12 hours. I don't think I'm willing to do that, but I definitely can't wait for it to make an attempt at this because I'd be getting out of my scalps. And then I'll sell up here for another 60 pips north. But this waiting around, I'm not a big fan of that. We're breaking the trend line on the 15 now. So one time frame spills into another. So you got the breakout, the pullback, the failure, depending how you slice it, but you certainly don't want to do this, because if you do a trend line off these wicks, you're like, well, I'll buy in the break of that. Or you want to be in before that. And more likely, you want to be in at the horizontal prices because they're more important. But you have to know on this 15 that they got to go stomp all these guys. All the people that are riding the 1 minute chart. So I put up I have the 1 minute chart, but I'm buying the plunge on that like the world's coming to an end here. So I kept drawing this channel it spilled out of. And the target is that we're going to come roaring up into this price. Well, we still may get there, but we have to go into a counter move to pick up enough buyers. And right now you're breaking that. So on the 15, that's why it's breaking the 1 minute. So we're going to expect this to retest the highs here. And hopefully it's going to run through that price level like it ran through the other. Now this is where the sellers are coming in. This is a big debate, and we just nicked that top. But the time, as the time closes up here, and the end of the day is coming. So a lot of people are getting out here for the scalp because they just bought this bottom on the 1 minute. So anybody that bought this trap down here, they're probably bailing. Right? They got in down here, unbelievable confluence all the way across the screen, big pivot. If you tighten up these guys on the smaller time frame and see the ricochet zone, the next place the sellers are going to want to sell it is here. Last known bottom. Here, last known bottom. Oh, a double click and then hold down the control key. So you can put them all in there. So those would be your sellers if you were trying to play the back bounce off of that. But if they can plunge through these guys and smash up into this, so just on the 1 minute chart, you can only put so many lines up. In the every turn gets a line, every mountain or every valley get a line. So this scalp needs to happen. Top of the hour, I'm thinking maybe they could crush it up there. Boom, it's over. It's over for the bears. They're gonna chase them down, hunt them down, and kill them like the bears they are. So here's the if I just did a Gann grid on the 1 hour chart, it would look like this. So this Gann grid thing is just hilarious because it's so quick and dirty. You just feel like you cheated. You just find any rate of change that you want to trade. So for instance, this big sell-off here, if you queued it to this top to where it broke out, you could go to here, So you can just find any angle you can tolerate. So here, you can see about here is the cube point because you're holding this pretty much anywhere you want to put it, but more likely to put it on a true climb here. So the climbing up there, if you can scooch that up in there, and then you can see, yeah, it gets trapped in there. Right? It's holding that channel. It's ready to break out. So all those arguments can be made. It's kind of like, doesn't really matter, you know. The only problem I have with that Gartley stuff is that it's too directional. It's painting a picture for only one scenario. Whereas here you can just go to just a broader view instantaneously and do the whole. You'll see every rollover point. So if you like to look back to confirm, is that tool even worth using? You can see on here. Of course, it's doing a lot of math, so sometimes it gets squirrely. If you scooch it up, so you're tracking the bottom of this channel here, so you're getting this would be the middle of your pitchfork here. Maybe drag that over a little bit. So sizing of this, kind of endless possibilities, but you always know that it makes the argument for either direction. So if it's coming up on this, maybe it's walking down this channel, so the next place to fill, or if you believe that this is the channel here, then it's going to hit this, it's going to tumble down to this support, it's going to hit that, it's going to go there. And your uptrend channel story is that, yeah, it comes up to here to the 1 hour last known bottom, pulls back into the channel, blasts to the midline pitchfork, comes up to the top. You got that loaded to this doji here. So that's a viable place. Well, then it walks all the way back to the channel again for another bounce. Plus, it's got this new channel, and if you want to put a channel within the channel, which is put a skinnier grid up in smaller pips, and you'll see it's more like a real cookie cutter kind of thing. But in the end, it's all about the diamond, the triangle, the pause, the breakout, the fake out, and not being trapped in. So here comes the trap for the bulls now. This thing can rally up into this thing, catch them there, and pull it back. So this is screaming to get out of this thing now. As you got the top of the hour, and you can almost do a candle that's 12 hours and see it just goes up and down, up and down. So if you went to the daily on this, you can see how I can't do a 12-hour chart here, but if you go to the daily time frame, you can see it's just nothing but up and down. And you could say those are engulfing channels and those are engulfing candles. Well, they're all engulfing. They're engulfing to completely destroy your account. Yeah, and they say the engulfing pattern is the best candle pattern. Go figure. So we just engulfed here, we just engulfed there, right? It was back and forth. God's sakes, you're going nowhere. But I do think this last blast here, we've got to go up. So I'm getting out of this thing already. I give up. So I'm selling right here. They can't get the party started, I'm out. I don't need this kind of, nobody treats me like this. Okay, so, all right, now I'm out. Now I'm looking for the pullback. Now I'm going to get in kind of aggressive now. So whatever they can pull here, I'll be in. Now I got a time limit on these orders. We might have to be tonight by the time we make it through that gate. So that was it. Sellers came in here, and I got out. They came in right there. Now I want to buy in pullbacks. So it's a long road up there. It's not a straight line. If we're ever going to take out that high, it's going to take forever. At least it's going to seem like it. Anyways, that's British pound. A lot of crazy moves, but definitely more fun than the euro.